matter how isolated you think you are not alone. There is someone who is experiencing something similar to what you're going through, no matter what you feel or how unique or odd you feel. Take a breath, especially in your teenage years. Just know that it's going to get better. Trust me, we've all gone through those periods where, especially in the teenage years, where we feel isolated, that we're odd man out, that no one understands what I'm going through. It takes time. You've got to give yourself that time. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself.
In this episode, the second half of my interview with Grandpa Scott and Grandpa Bobby of the hit YouTube channel, Two Gay Grandpas Travel. You were talking about your mother, Bobby. You mentioned an organization she was involved with.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
It's great. The Boulder County AIDS Project. And what this is, it's in Boulder, Colorado, and they have been there for years. And they're an outreach program. They provide information for gay people or anybody living with AIDS. They have a food bank that my mother helped run. And for 26 years, for 2 or 3 days a week, my mom was the volunteer receptionist at the front desk. She would work the food bank. She wasn't a professional counselor, but she was just the ad hoc counselor when typically, and of course, especially during the 80s and early 90s, it was mostly young gay men who came into this center and found my mom, who became like a surrogate mother to those who had, never had that relationship with their parent, or who they had been cut off from their parent. And it was very wonderful to see how my mom grew, because, having grown up, she grew up in a very traditional Catholic household. And over the years, she understood that love is love. And when we were growing up, she was never a hugger. It was a much more rigid, the 50s and the 60s. But as she grew older, she became this amazing hugger and wanted to talk about feelings, to the point where we used to joke amongst my brothers and sisters that we wanted to shake her and say, "What have you done with my mother? This isn't the woman I grew up with." And she just evolved to the point where she was awarded Living Legend Award for the city of Boulder for all the work that she did. And when she passed away a few years ago, we spread her ashes, and part of her ashes are at the Boulder County AIDS Project. We planted a rose bush in her honor with a plaque, and they still keep it. And to this day, she's still a treasured person remembered there. And it just shows you never too old to grow and change.
So I'll put a link not only to your YouTube channel, but to a couple of other organizations that can be helpful to people. You also mentioned PFLAG?
Yes, my mom was a real active part of PFLAG, just trying to encourage. She went to many meetings in Boulder, to encourage parents who are having difficulty accepting their children, and just to let them know, because, after I had come out and I had moved to San Francisco and met Scott, and she came to see us, and she, watched us interact with our families and with our kids. And she really came to realize that we were quite dull. We were very boring old married couple, just concerned with, fixing up our house and
where were the feather boas?
yeah, we weren't in drag. We were
Where are your
just,
chaps at?
we were just the most dullest couple you'd ever want to know. And she would express that to other parents who were afraid their kids weren't going to have a full life or have the life that they anticipated, to the point now where, we still pester our grandkids that, okay, just because you're lesbian, you're transgender, doesn't mean you're not going to give us great grandchildren. You're still on the hook. So
No pressure.
no pressure.
Not all moms and sisters realize ahead of their son. Some people are really sent into a bit of a tailspin when someone in their family comes out.
You were also mentioning people around the world who are not in areas as receptive to gay people. And Scott especially, had an experience that we thought was very touching.
We always try to respond to the comments in real time that we get on our YouTube videos, and I got this message from a young woman from Russia, and she's saying, "You don't know what this means to us." She says, "We are legally called a terrorist organization in Russia."
Yeah.
And she shared briefly what was going on. Any help you can do, please keep it up. And so I wanted to respond to her. Now, mind you, this was immediately. So I clicked the reply button, quickly sent the reply that we're there anytime and it was blocked already.
Yeah.
So they are, like you mentioned, there are countries, and unfortunately some in the European Union that are just very cruel to their queer communities.
This podcast is listened to in over 100 countries. In those 100 countries, there are still 4 or 5 where homosexuality is punishable by death. And in about half those countries, it's still illegal. Businesses need to be careful about where they hold corporate events and where they send their LGBTQ plus employees, because not every place is safe.
Yep.
And it's hard now living in America to envision a place like Russia or Saudi Arabia where you may be taking your life, you're certainly taking your livelihood if anyone finds out about your sexual orientation.
Yeah, and we travel the world, but I can easily say we aren't going to Uganda anytime soon.
Yeah.
Well, but not Hungary.
Yeah, we're not.
Frankly, we're not
Yeah.
Hungary.
Yeah, and I want to go to Budapest.
I just want to Budapest. And we know that there are many in the LGBT community who go there. But like you say, everyone has to take a little bit of a stand, whatever they can, to stand for our communities, to stand for human rights, just to stand for some core values. And that's how we feel about that particular country.
And when we travel, we never hide who we are.
Yeah.
We are, it's not like we're going around boasting. Of course, we wear t-shirts that say "Two Gay Grandpas Travel." So it's kind of a tip off. But even before we had our channel, we would never hide who we are. We'd always refer to each other as either my partner or in later years, my husband. And we go into it expecting common courtesy. We don't go into it demanding. We don't go into it asking for permission. We go into it just that, of course, you're going to accept me because I'm acting in a civil manner. And we have never, ever in all of our travels, we've been to more than 24 countries and 40-something states. We have never been confronted with a negative reaction. If people have something, they keep it to themselves. But we've been very fortunate in that regard, and that does make us hopeful for the future.
Yes, I think, though, on the caution side, there are some countries that you've avoided wisely.
Yeah.
And there are some that you mentioned, Uganda, Russia, that, really, I would advise you against wearing Two Gay Grandpa t-shirts in those countries. I mean,
yes, well, we'll be going there.
I would be cautious. There are places that are still very dangerous for gay men, trans lesbians around the world. So as we wind down on a more positive note, do you have advice for any young people who here or abroad who may be despondent? Your lives are in some sense just stand as an inspiration as they are, but do you have any particular advice you'd like to share with people who may be in a darker place?
Yes. When I was younger, I seriously considered suicide.
Considered.
Very, very seriously considered it.
You didn't commit.
No, I didn't do it. But but when I was there at the river with the bridge, and I was just so frustrated. I had a loving family. That wasn't the issue. The issue is I felt so different, and not on the gay issue, because that hadn't come into my mind. But I just knew that, I wasn't the baseball player like my brothers. Okay. I wasn't the jock. I wasn't I wasn't going to go into the coal mines and work. Well, first of all, my dad did not want us to, but there were just a lot of things that I felt somewhat apart from my own community. And I really considered it. And I didn't do it, obviously. And I'm glad I didn't. And
We're glad you didn't.
All I can offer those who are thinking about it is take the time to back away, because you get through it. It gets better. so many wonderful opportunities are there in life that lay ahead of you. Give yourself the opportunity to experience them, to grow. Um, Nothing will be as bad as you think at that particular time. And yes, you may have issues along the way the rest of your life, but you're also going to have some really wonderful joy, wonderful adventures that you have a right to have. You know that you are on this planet to experience.
And,
Take that opportunity.
and you are not alone.
Yeah.
You're not
No
alone.
matter how isolated you think you are not alone. There is someone who is experiencing something similar to what you're going through, no matter what you feel or how unique or odd you feel. Take a breath, especially in your teenage years. Just know that it's going to get better. Trust me, we've all gone through those periods where, especially in the teenage years, where we feel isolated, that we're odd man out, that no one understands what I'm going through. It takes time. You've got to give yourself that time. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. No one is harder on you than you are. And just know that you're not alone. Look out, search out.
Yeah.
Online now, there are tools
The
and
Trevor Project.
opportunities that we never had available to us. We just had to rely on our individual strength and determination and sublimation in many cases. But there are so many places you can reach out to. Even if you just want to comment to us on our travel channel, we answer everybody.
Yeah.
Just know that you're not alone.
Mine was my fourth grade teacher. She was a wonderful woman. And I didn't mention what I was thinking of doing, but she obviously felt that something was up with me. So she spent time. We talked. She took me for a ride in her brand new Cadillac. It was a 54 Cadillac, with the windows that went up and down. And there was just something that I could talk to her about that I couldn't share with my mom and dad. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought that I was disappointing my mom and dad by not being the baseball player, by not being the jock.
Yeah, try to find that helpful adult, or find your tribe, as we'd like to say.
Find your tribe.
Go find that music drama people. You can't sing and dance, they're still going to welcome you. Find that group and find that tribe.
Yeah.
So I'll put some links if there's anyone on the call anywhere in the world that is feeling really in a dark place, some organizations that you can email, that you can text to, that you can call, that will help, particularly links specific to sexual minorities. Bobby, you mentioned teenagers. So what we know now that we didn't know when any of us were young is that the brain isn't formed until the mid-20s. And sometime in grammar school, it starts to change and it's rewiring itself, and there are hormones and a lot of construction going on, which is one reason why you should avoid drinking, binge drinking, and drugs in those years, because the wiring may not all come together. So things can look very dark at 17 or 18, that at 27, you look back and the sun is out and you really can't figure out what exactly it was that so depressed you when you were 17. I had a number of dark years, and I can construct a number of theories about what may have changed my mood. But, I think the evidence now is it may just be that I crossed that magic 25 and the sun came out. And, it's like depression during the winter. You have to remember, at least in most places in the world, the sun will come out. There will be a summer. Well, before we go, anything that you want to say to parents of queer people?
Just love them. They aren't there to live up to your ideals. They're there to live their lives. The best you can do is just encourage them, hug them, know that they're there to support them, and just as they are.
Yeah. Don't judge them because they love somebody or love in a way that you don't understand. That's not your role. Your role, in my opinion, as a parent, is to help them develop themselves, develop their core values so that they can go out in life and stand on their own. That's what we do as parents. We want them to be successful. So support that.
And don't forget, you can still have grandkids.
Linda Robertson, in a previous podcast, said, tell your child that you believe them and that you have their back. I think that's just so, I know that's hard for some parents, but that is so important that you say that. There's a new Netflix documentary called Join or Die, and it's a fascinating movie about what happens to people and to societies when they stop finding their tribe and they stop joining and finding birds of a feather. They just cocoon themselves into their living rooms and exist only online, and how detrimental it is to mental health. So I think your advice of find your tribe first online, and if you can in person, and it doesn't have to be a gay choral. I mean, not every town has one, like San Francisco, or a gay choir. It may just be a choir or a baseball team or a garden society or whatever it is. But the evidence now is that you extend your life significantly by just joining a single club or a single church. And those people who never join and participate in any group activities are really disadvantaged. Join or Die, currently on Netflix. Well, any final word, Grandpa Bobby, Grandpa Scott, before we sign off?
No, well, thank you. We appreciate it.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, we appreciate the opportunity to reach out to a lot of younger people and just let them know that there is a great world out there. They can have a long-term relationship and just grow out to be the most boring people on the planet.
And give us your YouTube channel one more time.
That's Two Gay Grandpas Travel on YouTube.
And then on podcasts, we have a podcast called Travel Your Heart, which we talk more than just travel.
It's about
Okay.
Traveling through life.
travels and our travels through life.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank
Well,
you for
thank
inviting
you
us.
for
We
the invite.
appreciate
We
it.
appreciate it.
This is Elton Sherwin. Stay safe, be brave, and God bless.